Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. It is good to have you along today. Patty May from the Verde Valley Guidance Clinic is in studio today, and we've had some mental health issues that have popped up in the news recently, so we thought it'd be good to have her come in because the Verde Valley Guidance Clinic is offering a mental health first aid course, and it's a free course, and we're going to talk about that as we go through the program today. Hello, Patty May.
Hi, Paul.
We were talking about when's the last time Patty was here, and I thought a couple years ago, but you're thinking more like 4 years.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think it was maybe 4 years ago.
So it's
been a long time.
Time goes by fast.
It sure does.
Now, we have had some mental health issues that have popped up in the news over the past couple of weeks, and I don't want to really dwell on those because your course it's very interesting what you have started and are going to continue. So tell me about this Mental Health First Aid USA. What kind of brought this about?
Okay, well, mental health first aid was brought to our country by the National Council for Behavioral Health Services in 2008.
Okay.
It started in Australia when they realized that people in the outbacks, which sometimes we feel like we're in the outbacks.
Yeah, we have outbacks here. We've got the boonies
We sure
here.
do. Didn't know how to help somebody that was in a mental health crisis. So they started a course to teach anyone, community, first responders,
Me.
police, you, how to respond to a mental health emergency or crisis. And also a big part for me in use of mental health first aid is it helps lessen the stigma of seeking help for mental health issues.
We were talking about the stigma before, and there's two sides of that stigma.
Absolutely. There's the stigma of the person who doesn't want to seek help because, well, they don't want to be the crazy one or off your rocker or nuts. When we think about the words we use to describe somebody that we think is mentally ill, they're absolutely not very complimentary.
Right, exactly.
Nobody wants to go for help because they don't want to be looked at like that. So if we can start to look at recognizing that mental health issues is an illness, there's a physical component and an emotional component. It's an illness that affects relationships, work, your self-worth. It affects all parts of a person. So if we can work on not calling people who have a mental illness crazy, nuts, wacko, some of the terms we use, people might seek help. And if we can also help people realize that a mental health condition or issue can be easily helped if you seek recovery or processes early. And so it's a two-way street. It's the stigma of the people out there who see someone with a mental illness as nuts, and it's also the stigma of somebody who sees themselves as not worthy, not valuable if they go in for help.
Now, you brought up the word algae.
Absolutely.
Part of the show, so we wanted to make sure we hit what algae stands for as far as this program goes.
Well, and I want to talk a little bit about that for sure. The program is a certification course.
Okay.
It's 12 hours. We're offering it at the Guidance Clinic, and we're offering it free, and we're actually providing the books right now, which is good. But algae is an action plan that we teach the people who are taking the course and how to approach somebody with a mental illness or how to handle somebody who may come to you with a problem. And algae has the first letter A. It teaches you how to assess the situation for risk of harm to self or others. Somebody may be suicidal, and you want to ask them those questions and help them get the right help. If somebody's suicidal, of course, you're going to seek more professional help immediately.
Now, when I take this course, is it going to tell me how to do that properly?
Yes, it is.
Because I mean, that's a pretty touchy situation and question.
It is. It's going to support you in feeling comfortable with asking those touchy questions.
Okay.
And not everybody is suicidal that's in a mental health emergency or in a mental health crisis. Some people are just struggling and don't know what to do. So you may assess, no, this person is not at risk for harm. I can work with this person. If somebody is at risk, and if you think somebody's going to put you at risk, you immediately get help.
Okay.
But the assessment part, it helps you do that. It teaches you how to assess for a suicidal situation, how to assess for what we call non-suicidal injuries, maybe somebody who is cutting or over-drinking or overeating or under-eating. Those may be considered non-suicidal self-injuries.
Okay.
So you learn how to assess for different situations.
All right.
Okay. And then the G or with the L, I always jump to that. And L, to me, is the very most important one. It's listen non-judgmentally.
Okay.
When you're working with somebody in a mental health crisis, oftentimes they've never felt heard, and they really need you to be willing to listen without judgment. Not listen, oh, here's the ramblings of a crazy person. Listen with the fact that this is a person who's struggling. This is a person who has a mental illness. This is a person who needs somebody to hear them.
I guess if we're at that point where they're actually talking about it.
Absolutely.
They're talking about it,
They're
and that's the
talking
goal,
about
right?
it, and that is the goal. And you're not asked to become a professional. You're not asked to be a therapist. You're given support in how to handle something that the person on the street, sitting next to somebody in an airplane, they might start talking about something that's going on in their life. And you can listen without judgment and let them know. And you get to the G, give them some reassurance that mental illnesses, mental health issues are treatable. And there are solutions to help you move beyond them and live a more productive, normal life. Interesting thing, I think it says in our course that we lose $40 billion a year in productivity in the United States alone because of mental illness. People not going to work, people being sick, people actually ending up losing jobs. That's a lot of money lost to our economy. And if we want to look at it strictly from an economic standpoint, that's something to look at.
Okay.
$40 million a year of lost revenue from people who are suffering, who could be out working. And of course, when you're working, you're feeling better about yourself. You're more productive, you're happy, you lead a better life. Your wife likes you better, your husband likes you better if you're out there working and you're not depressed and hiding in your house all the time. So I'll just throw that in as another thing to look at.
Okay.
I hate to go to the economic thing, but that's part of why we started this course in September. When we realized that budget cuts were coming, we knew that there may be less professional help, and we wanted the community to be able to support and help and get people to the professional.
And this isn't the first cut either. This is the second year of
No,
cuts
this is the second year of cuts, yeah.
Okay, then we got the E's.
The E's are encourage.
Okay.
Okay, both E's are encourage, but the first E is encourage, support and professional help. And we would help people learn where the professional help is. And the professional help could be a psychiatrist, it could be your physician. Interesting enough, most people go to their medical doctor first when they think they're having a mental health problem.
And why is that?
They want it to be physical.
Okay.
They don't want to have something wrong with their brain or their emotion, and they would like it to be physical. And often, after the doctor will run all the tests, he might say, no, I've done all the tests. There's nothing wrong with you physically. It's time for you to look at what's going on in your life emotionally and how to get this treated. And then the last E is to encourage other types of help, perhaps spiritual help, your pastor, support groups, AA, NA, Emotions Anonymous. There are lots of support groups out there. NAMI is a support group for family members of the mentally ill. Friends, talk to a friend, don't isolate. Just encourage people to get some kind of help for what they're struggling with.
Is talking about the biggest key? Is to get somebody who has a mental illness to talk about it?
One of the things I think is the biggest key is to listen to them. Sometimes we think we have to push them to talk, go into depth. We don't. We just have to let them know that what they're talking about doesn't scare us, doesn't make us want to run from them, doesn't make us look at them as the nut job on the corner. We're listening, we're supporting, we're reassuring. And so, yeah, I guess talking about it for them is the biggest part. For us, listening is the biggest part.
All right, let's take our first break. Patty May with the Verde Valley Guidance Clinic is in studio today. They've got another class just like this one. It's the Mental Health First Aid course on May 13th, May 20th. 634-2236 is the number to call and sign up for the class. I'm Paul David, Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.